All right, we are back on Steel City, and I'm your host, Andre Duke. Just want to give a big shout out to everybody watching today. Um, if you can, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow the show. I got a pretty interesting perspective on what we got rolling today. Just a just a look at the trade again. And hold on, I am tweeting this link out. If you can do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this show. So that's just something. And last night for the college football fans, sorry I had something come up and we weren't able to do the college football show. But with that being said, we have the Jalen Ramsey trade for Minka Fitzpatrick. After in uh, John L. Smith, I think that what we got rolling here is I think it was an overall pretty good deal for the Steelers. I don't think that uh, Miami was too terribly upset on letting him go. I think that I think a lot of it came down to a money thing, and I'm pulling up his stats because Jalen Ramsey's the big name on this. Jonnu Smith, 6'3", 248, out of FIU, 2017 third round pick by Tennessee. So he ended up with 8 touchdowns last year, 88 receptions, and 884 yards. A lot of eights there. And I think one of the things that for him going forward, and I think he's going to be a big part of the Steelers' offense going forward, just for the simple fact of I think it gives them another red zone target. I think the Steelers are going to be able to do a lot of things with the tight ends. They bring in a pass catcher. Um, you look at Fryermuth's production. Pat had 7 touchdowns last year, but you know it's going to be something that is, I think it's going to possibly limit Connor Haywood's playing time, and then you have Darnell Washington as well. I think it's going to be an interesting mix and match on how they do the tight ends going forward. Just for the simple fact of Darnell Washington, 19 catches for 200 yards and 1 touchdown. So I think that's something that John L. Smith, Jonnu, brings a different dynamic to the Steelers offense. Big target. He's not Darnell Washington that's 6'7". He's got about 4 inches on him. So, and I'm sure he's got a bigger wingspan, but they were, 7 picks apart, both third round draft picks. So I think that going forward, the Steelers are going to have to make a decision going into the off season. It was kind of reminiscent of when they brought in Eric Ebron from Detroit. So I think going forward, I think the Steelers pretty much have a plan on what they're going to do at tight end for long term. And looking at some of the things on the salary cap, I don't think it was the biggest or the worst things to bring him in. So some people are going to complain about it, but I don't think it's that horrendous of a deal that they were able to get it all wrapped up. And moving on from Minka Fitzpatrick, I think a lot of people were fairly upset. Well, in long term, they actually save money on the cap. So I think that that is something to be said there, because if you're going to be saving money on the cap, if you're going to sign TJ Watt to a long term extension, these are some of the things and some of the moves that got to be done. And to me, it screams that they're going to be changing the defense from, instead of the one high look, to two high. I think, adding Darius Slay, I think Tomlin has pushed the chips in to the middle of the table, and they got to go for broke on this. Do I think that everything going forward, the Steelers are going to, is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat? I'm going to go with no. I don't think he's on the hot seat, but the Steelers really don't fire coaches. I mean, they've only had 3 since 1969: Chuck Noll, uh, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. What do I think's going to happen? I think that there might be a awkward conversation if they miss the playoffs this year, because the Steelers and Omar Khan have um, pulled out every single stop possible to make this team successful. So I don't think that it's the be all end all, but I could see where conversations could get very awkward going forward just on the Tomlin end of it. I think that, with a new look offense, they've pretty much retooled the whole offense, trading Minkah for Jalen Ramsey, and, essentially pick swapping the, and those are 2027 picks. They're not even 2026 picks. So I'm not 100% sure that how many draft picks the Steelers have in 2026, but I still don't think that they're not going to. I think they're going to add a wide receiver as well, and I would not be shocked by that, or unless they think Roman Wilson is the guy going forward. So I think that's something to keep an eyeball on. The big thing is that they have not 100% deficit at the wide receiver position, but they just have to. I think if they feel good with the guys that they have in camp, they may not make any more moves. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't sit on their hands, but that's just pretty much a little more deeper dive thought that I had on that. I think that the Steelers' offense should be better in the red zone this year. I'll be interested to see how much they run the ball, to be honest. I think that that is something to be said going forward. And I've seen some people that have thrown predictions out there that it could be a 12, 13 win team. I'm not going to be that bullish, but I'm going to say that I possibly think it could be a 10-win team. Obviously, Baltimore is going to be good. Cincinnati, I don't know what Cincinnati's going to look like on defense. They're bringing in Al Golden from Notre Dame. Great defensive coordinator at the college levels. Had massive success at Notre Dame. So we'll see what Cincinnati's going to be on defense. But do I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, you got to stop that, because I think a lot of the way the Bengals won games last year is they just flat ass outscored people. So that is also something to take into account on Cincinnati's end of it. And then you have the Cleveland Browns are probably going to start 150-year-old Joe Flacco. What are the Browns going to look like? I will be shocked to see what that looks like. Shedeur Sanders is getting mentored by Deshaun Watson. I think that's probably some of the people that, or somebody that I would want to maybe keep away from my quarterback, but maybe Deshaun can be I don't know. That's a tough situation. I'm surprised that guy's. If he didn't have a guaranteed contract, I don't think he would be in the NFL. So I think that Cleveland, for all intents and purposes, will keep Watson for as long as they have to pay him, and then that will be a done deal. I don't think anybody will pick him up after that because he's kind of radioactive. But with that being said, going to the first show break here. But with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button and help us blow this thing up. We are in the infancy of this show. We're going to try to make it like the college football show, but once this show gets big enough, it'll be on its own separate YouTube channel for all the NFL only fans, or not NFL only, all the fans that are just fans of the NFL. It'll be on its own separate channel, and that's what it'll be. So it'll be all NFL, so you're not having to figure out which show you want to watch. But hit that like and subscribe button and help us get this thing going. So another thing kind of that I seen around the league, 2025 coaches on the hot seat. Pro Football Talk put this out. Coaches on the hot seat this year: Mike McDaniel. 100% agree with that. I think if it doesn't go great in Miami, I think if they miss the playoffs this year and they don't look the greatest, I could see possibly Miami moving on from Mike McDaniel. Another interesting one on this list is Brian Daboll. I think pretty much whoever coaches the New York Giants, you're not on the maximum hot seat, but I think they always have the pilot light lit for you. Joe Shane didn't do him any favors by not re-signing Saquon Barkley, the whole Hard Knocks offseason. I don't know if they'll ever do that again because of the backlash the Giants caught off of that, because of how bad and incompetent it made him look. The wild thing is Brian Daboll, pretty much for 2 years of his tenure in New York, has not had a quarterback. And I think that's a common trend. And a lot of people kind of get on him about him being an offensive guy. I think that with him being an offensive guy, he just hasn't had a quarterback. And I think most great NFL teams is how good's a quarterback. And except Cincinnati being the exception, they were terrible on defense. But Brian Daboll, he's got Russ, he's got Jameis, and he's got Jackson Dart. Long term, I would stick with Daboll so he could develop Jackson Dart. I think Russ is going to try to win him 7-8 games this year, or maybe they might go to Jameis. I think Jameis is the insurance policy because I don't think they want to play Jackson Dart this year. I think the best bet for the Giants going forward is to sit Dart, let him learn until he's able to take the reins. Another interesting thing, and it's a very interesting dynamic, Shane Steichen with the Indianapolis Colts, I feel like will be a very interesting case study. Obviously, the Colts owner, Jim Irsay, passed away. Some of the, I wouldn't say backlash, but Shane Steichen's got to figure out the quarterback situation. They signed Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson is also there. So I think they might be in the quarterback carousel. What it comes down to is if you got two, you ain't got one. So I think he's going to have to pick a starter and roll whoever could win him the most games. And then we go to Brian Schottenheimer in Dallas. I think that as long as Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys, I think they're going to be very unstable in what they are. Just for the simple fact of I know everybody's going to be blowing it up. Oh, the Cowboys, the Cowboys, the Cowboys. But I don't know what Brian Schottenheimer can do to keep that job. I think he's living on borrowed time as we speak, because if Dak doesn't play great and the Cowboys, let's say the Cowboys go 9-8, I could see Schottenheimer getting fired just on general principle. But he stuck with Jason Garrett forever. And, the Cowboys are the classic example of win middle, draft middle, stay middle. So they just haven't been able to get out of their own way. And then Dave Canales in Carolina. I don't know the whole situation there in Carolina. I didn't watch too many Panther games. I know that they benched Bryce Young for a little bit, and then he pretty much came back and played a lot better from what I've looked at. So I think Bryce Young could possibly save Dave Canales, maybe, if he plays well. I'm not going to say it's going to be an all-out savior, but hopefully Bryce Young can bounce back and be the quarterback that they drafted. I mean, I think it was Frank Reich in the GM wanted to draft C.J. Stroud, and David Tepper overruled him and wanted Bryce Young. So I guess that is what it is. Also, David Tepper, the guy that threw drinks on Jaguars fans, don't know the whole situation, but it probably wasn't the greatest time for him. But another thing that I wanted to turn the attention to was a side-by-side comparison, because the TJ Watt contract dispute is something to look at here. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, both have won one Defensive Player of the Year. They're both 6-time All Pros. Watt, 7-time Pro Bowler. Garrett, 6-time Pro Bowler. Tackles for loss, Watt, 126, is ahead of Garrett. He's forced more fumbles. Watt's more total tackles, but he's played in 4 more games than Myles Garrett and has 6.5 more sacks than Myles Garrett. I don't know if that is justification for paying him more than Myles Garrett or equal to. I don't think that contract and how that thing is going to fit in per se. But I think that's maybe one of the reasons why they cleared Minkah Fitzpatrick, because of cap numbers, and Jalen Ramsey's kind of a bargain going forward. So that's something also to put into, add a little caveat to that. And then also, in other news, Darren Waller's coming out of retirement. Since Smith is with the Steelers, they needed a tight end. Waller took the year off, and Adam Schefter reported that the Giants get a conditional 2026 6th-round pick for Darren Waller, so they're not getting nothing for him retiring and coming out of retirement. Darren Waller, I guess that's the needle mover for the Miami Dolphins. To me, if Mike McDaniel does not make the playoffs, I believe he is going to probably meet his demise in Miami. That's just kind of my feeling on it. But I think Brian Daboll, if he wins, he can be safe. Shane Steichen, I don't know. You got to find a quarterback, man. So speaking of quarterbacks, we'll transition into this. Tom Brady's record versus every NFL team. FanDuel put this out. I find it interesting. With the Jets, Tom Brady is 31-8, and he's also 33-3 against the Bills. He's won the most games against the Bills and the least games against the Patriots. He beat the Patriots once. but Tom Brady is over 500 versus every team, or he's right at 500 with two teams. He's 9-9 against the Broncos and 2-2 against the Niners. Tom Brady does not have a losing record against any team in the NFL. I find that highly impressive. I don't know about you, but one of his worst records is against the Broncos. 9-9, his best record is against the Bills. 33-3, 36 games he played against the Bills, and I never knew Tom Brady lost to the Patriots. Lost to the Browns twice. Wow. So yeah, looking at it, he's 12-4 versus the Steelers, unfortunately, but I thought that was a very interesting record grab. And then we'll go to the quarterback comparison of the first 7 years. Brady, Mahomes, it's Mahomes, Brady, Manning, and Rodgers. Mahomes is leading all of the guys in wins per year. He's 88-23. 32,000 passing yards, 254 touchdowns Patrick Mahomes has. He's got 20 more than Aaron Rodgers had, but I think really when you break it down, if you took a game away a year, that might equal it out because they play 17 now. For the vast majority of these guys' careers, they played 16, not 17. But Rodgers beats him in the interceptions, 56-73. And then on passer rating, Aaron Rodgers, 106.6. But when it comes to MVPs in the first 7 years between these guys, Mahomes has 2, Brady 1, Manning 2, Rodgers 2. So Patrick Mahomes is pretty much on the Hall of Fame trajectory here. The last thing is Super Bowls. Mahomes has 3, Brady has 3, Manning 0 in the first 7 years, and Rodgers 1. So that is kind of something to keep in mind there. That's just I find those stats fascinating. Not a lot of people think it's that that fascinating, but it's just something that I think to keep in mind. And then what's trending out there on the internet right now is the big thing is Big Energy Mike DeWine has signed a 2-year, $60 billion budget that sets aside $600 million in unclaimed funds for the new Cleveland Browns stadium. I am sure the people of Cleveland are going to love that. The Haslam Sports Group, and this is all via ESPN. The Haslam Sports Group, owner of the Browns, has requested that the state help build a new $2.4 billion dome stadium in the suburb of Brook Park, southwest of Cleveland. DeWine had proposed doubling taxes on sports betting to help the Browns as well as the Cincinnati Bengals and other teams might seek facility upgrades, but the legislature used $4.8 billion in unclaimed funds the state is holding onto. In small sums, residents left behind from the dormant bank accounts. Yikes. They're using dormant bank accounts, unclaimed funds, to build a Browns stadium, and it's going to be in a dome. Yikes. Way to go, Cleveland. Industry leader, I tell you. I don't know. I guess their attendance will be up. For me, going to a dome stadium, it's just this. So you tailgate outside for, I don't know, 2 hours before the game, in the frigid cold to just walk inside. I just don't get that. I think that kills tailgating in the wintertime. Just in my opinion. I just think it absolutely kills the tailgating. And then last thing on what's trending on the web, I think this is maybe from a few days ago. I find it interesting. The possible TJ Watt trade. I would not be shocked if there is a team that needs a defender that has a young wide receiver that people could people could or well, not people, but the Steelers could use in exchange for TJ Watt and maybe some draft compensation. It would be interesting to me to see what that package would look like. To move Watt, I mean, the Steelers are probably going to want not a king's ransom, but a pretty hefty price. It might roll into the season. Do I think that they could get a deal done? Yes. Is it likely in July when they got to report? Well, it is July now, but when they report for camp, I think it's the 27th. Everybody's got to be there. I want to say, I believe so. But I'm not 100% sure that he's going to absolutely be there. It'll be a big test if TJ shows up at all, because I don't think he's going to show up if he doesn't have a contract and long-term stability. I would say the Steelers are working the phones to try to move Watt as we speak. Do I think they get Watt moved? Possibly. It's just going to be for how much. And then if you're the other team that is inquiring about TJ Watt, you got to have some insurances that he is going to sign with said organization, because I think as it stands, he's an unrestricted free agent, and if you trade him somewhere like Arizona, I would think Arizona might be a spot for him. It just depends upon what they want to give up. Looking at some of the other things, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe trading him to the Jets. See if you can get some Garrett Wilson action. I don't think the Cardinals would give up Marv. That's just me. I mean, I can pull up some receiving stats and we can look at it. You just got to see what is TJ Watt's worth. Because typically when Tomlin trades people, he does not, like Deontay Johnson went to Carolina. There are some guys that are just not going to be on the table, and some teams just not on the table. I would maybe Green Bay. Maybe if Green Bay could put together an enticing package, even though they didn't have any outstanding wide receivers. But I think that them moving Mika Fitzpatrick is for them to acquire cap space, just for the simple fact of what we got rolling here. And then thanks, Doreen. I appreciate it. I started a little early this morning, but got a little something to do. But that is pretty much it. I don't know what they're going to do as far as that. Could DJ Moore be on the table for the Bears? That would be something. I might be crazy on that one, but maybe the Steelers stand pat and they don't trade for another wide receiver, but they're either going to re-sign Watt or they're going to move him, and then that means they have massive cap space. and maybe they think Jonnu Smith is going to be an absolute stud baller that they're going to have to extend and keep it going. So that is something to look at in the coming weeks. We'll probably be back tomorrow. See what's going on. But with that being said, don't forget to catch us tonight. It might be me, Richie, and Carter all on the night college football show. So we are going to get that rolling tonight. The season is almost here. The guys are going to start reporting to camp soon, NFL and college football. And the way I look at it is that like this video if you like football, period. So with that being said, hit the like and subscribe button, help us grow this thing. So I am going to skedaddle today. Got a little bit of an early start. I got some errands I got to run. So with that being said, everybody hit that like and subscribe button and have a great day. Peace.